Hey everybody, this is Dominic D'Angelo, WrestleZone.com, and this is episode 9 of WCW Rewritten. I am here with my degenerate brother, Marcus, who is the booker, the head guy, the powers that be in this reimagined world of WCW.
Marcus, I got the pencil, Dom.
You got the pencil. And we took a week off. We're going to play a little bit of catch up here today. Episode 9.
I think that we should tell people, being wrestling podcasters or a journalist in your case, not our full-time jobs. We got a lot going on in our personal lives. I can 100% assure you all that it will happen again. We'll probably miss an episode.
100%.
We'll probably miss an episode here and there. It is what it is. But I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep writing this. And even if we have to miss a week or whatever, I'll be back. We'll be back. I have plenty of content. I can promise you that this year is going to have a lot of twists and turns and fun times. So don't worry, guys. We will not be going anywhere.
And hey, we still got to run that poll. I didn't run that poll that we were talking about for last week of the faction. Obviously, folks, there's a new Hart Foundation in this WCW, but we cannot call it the Hart Foundation. We can only call it what Marcus dubbed it as the Hart Dungeon, but then I suggested the Hart Stampede in honor of Stampede Wrestling. So what I'll do this week, I promise you, I will run the poll and we will get a determination of what this faction will be called. I'm all in on Hart Stampede. That's my thought. But Marcus, you're a dungeon guy, aren't you?
You like Hart Stampede? Yeah, I kind of like the Hart Dungeon. I'm looking through. So we've got a new fan, somebody who has been sending me messages. Really cool stuff, awesome, helpful insight and everything like that, which is really great. He had a suggestion here. I'm digging through some of these old ones. He's saying the Hart Dynasty is what he feels that they should be called. But was that the tag team in WWE?
That was the tag team in WWE with Davey Boy Smith Jr. and Tyson Kidd and Natalia. So that was
if it was 98, that's unused, but
yeah. But so is it too? I think at this point the dynasty was still being established. Like if you kind of think about it, because Bret Hart is there. Obviously there's that name cachet of the Harts and everything, but it's still Bret Hart's still wrestling. He's still like kind of the figurehead of the Hart family in a lot of ways.
For me, I'm just like picturing all the people that were involved in WCW during this time, like the Kevin Sullivans of the world. I feel like they would have leaned toward Hart Dungeon. But you like the Hart Stampede. I don't know. I'm interested. Go ahead, put up the poll and let's see how it goes. For the purposes of this, when I reference the group, for now, it's just going to stay the Hart Dungeon.
Fair enough. Yeah, we can do it. And so this is.
Wasn't the whole idea of the Hart Dungeon just the fact that Bret Hart grew up with a dungeon in his house? Isn't it? To me, that's pretty compelling stuff. Like this training.
I think it's more compelling that it ties into Stampede Wrestling, and the fact that Calgary had the Calgary Stampede. You also have the Calgary Stampeders, the CFL team. Very much that epitomizes what Calgary was all about, and. I'm a huge fan of Stampede Wrestling. That book of Heath McCoy, Pain and Passion, is amazing and really goes into that. And so I just have an appreciation for Stampede and feel that'd be a pretty neat hat tip, so to speak. Plus, then you not only do you have Stampede, but you have the Horsemen in WCW. So I don't know, man.
Well, hey, fair enough. I'm game for seeing what people choose. So yeah, Dom, post the damn poll.
Post the damn poll already. Well, Marcus, we got to get this thing rolling. It's this is the February 9th, 1998 episode of WCW Nitro we will be doing, and I'm sure your card is going to be a bit different than the one that I'm about to read off to people. So what we do, just for the aspect of reference and everything like that, I read the original card of what goes down in this night, and Marcus's card will be much different. One can predict. So here it is. This is what happened on the February 9th, 1998 edition of Monday Nitro, which was held where, Marcus, do you know?
I do not.
In the heart of El Paso. Deep down in the heart of El Paso, home of
I'll tell you what, Eddie Guerrero is a busy man on this episode.
Oh, well, how about that? Fitting then. All right, so this is what went down. Steve McMichael defeated Glacier. Conan with Vincent defeated Norman Smiley. Disco Inferno defeated Yuji Nagata with Sonny Ono. Chris Jericho and Eddie Guerrero defeated Chavo Guerrero and Dean Malenko. How about that? Juventud Guerrera defeated El Dandy, Jam Up Guy. Bill Goldberg defeated Lord Steven Regal. Gentleman Chris Adams, history wrestler in World Class Championship Wrestling, defeated Louis Spicolli by disqualification. Perry Saturn defeated Ultimo Dragon. Booker T defended his world television title in a no contest against Raven. And Lodi and Saturn were both at his side. Randy Savage defeated Hulk Hogan by disqualification. The Steiner brothers defeated the Outsiders to win the World Tag Team Championships. Was that main event? So pretty big card.
I don't know this for sure, but I think that may have been Louis Spicolli's last televised match.
Could be right.
I know that he passed away somewhere around this time.
Yeah. If I had to guess, I thought he passed on already at this point.
Yeah. I know it. I believe it was later that week that he passed away.
No way. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, Marcus, how did you rewrite this episode of WCW Nitro?
All right. My cat has been distracting me here. There she is. That's Luna, named after Luna Vachon. I'll have you all know.
That's you, brother.
And let's get going on my version of the 2/9/98 Monday Nitro. All right, we open Nitro with a replay of Diamond Dallas Page getting a low blowed by Brian Clark and losing his U.S. title. The video is cut to show close-ups of Hogan backing up the ramp with Clark grinning and Page in the ring shooting daggers at Hulk. The music builds to a crescendo with a deep close-up of Page, and his eyes turn red in classic 90s bad editing fashion. I was like cracking up thinking about this.
Did they do something like that?
Can't you see WCW doing it? They had fucking lasers come out of Jake the Snake Roberts' eyes.
That's a fair argument.
All right, fire is rolling down the street of that unknown city as Nitro gets introed with explosions. We are in the arena and the explosions continue as Tony Schiavone informs us that we are just 13 days away from Super Brawl 8 at the Cow Palace in San Francisco on February 22nd. I think in the last episode I may have referenced Uncensored as the next pay-per-view. It is not.
So sorry about yes. That. Well, you threw me off because we talked about Uncensored quite a bit.
My bad guess. Tony is joined by Mike Tenay and Larry Zbyszko, and they spend some time hyping the rage on the face of Diamond Dallas Page and how that issue is far from being settled. Oh, but wait. Eddie Guerrero's theme begins to play, and the man himself makes his way to the ring with Los Latinos in tow. Chavo is at Eddie's side, wearing a bandana backwards on his forehead and scowling like a badass. The entire group looks angry, but Eddie has an air of smug arrogance as he gets into the ring and grabs a mic. Bret Hart, the Hitman, you really thought you were proving some kind of point last week, huh? You came out here spouting off about being screwed, about being overlooked. What would you know about it? Some rich man in New York screws you once, and now you think you're some kind of expert? I've been fighting from underneath my whole life. I never take shortcuts. I do everything by the book, and still, I can't get ahead. And now, to make matters worse, you have an issue with me, so you come after my little nephew? Some man you are, Hart. Well, Chavo accepts your challenge for a match tonight, and because he was trained so well by his Uncle Eddie, he's going to expose you for the fraud you are. And while we're issuing challenges, I have one of my own. No, I'm not going to challenge your child or your niece like you've decided to do to my family. I'm going to challenge the biggest man in your group. Tonight, I want a piece of Jim Neidhart, and I'm going to put him in his place just like Chavo will do to you, because the Hart Dungeon isn't as strong a family as Los Latinos. Eddie and his group take off as the announcers pop for the added matchup tonight. Tony also tells us that the Steiner brothers are slated to have a face-to-face interview in the ring tonight, while also Booker T and Lex Luger are teaming up to take on the team of Perry Saturn and Sick Boy. Additionally, Ultimo Dragon has taken advantage of his rematch clause, and he will be in action tonight trying to regain his cruiserweight title from Juventud Guerrera. And finally, in the main event, Kevin Nash will be taking on Ric Flair.
Wow.
Quite a card. Quite a card. Oh, you know what's coming next, so Dom. Goldberg's theme plays, and Demand is headed to the ring. I wonder if he's finally going to lose, Dominic.
No, I wonder.
The man is headed to the ring, surrounded by his pyro and his smoke and all that. His opponents tonight are both members of High Voltage. These two were ripped, and they didn't seem like that bad of workers, but there was just like nothing under the hood with those guys. They were just like, if you just had like a machine that produced pro wrestlers, those guys would come shooting out. You'd be like, hey, look at these guys, and then they'd like get on the mic or get in the ring and be like, oh, never mind.
Well, the one guy just wasn't his name Kenny something.
Actually, yeah, it's Robbie Rage and Kenny Chaos.
That's right. I was like, why am I thinking of Kenny Omega?
I mean, power plant guys to the bone. You know what I mean? This was like the power plant was like NXT before NXT was a thing. And it's just like basically they're like churning out their own guys in the way that they think they should be. And were they trained by the Pitbull, Craig Pittman, or was that somebody else? No, it was some other dude.
Sarge, right? It was
Yes.
Sarge. Yeah, I can't remember his name though. But yeah, they High Voltage pretty much was like if the power plant was a human to a tag team, like two people.
Not to mention just like everything that's wrong with WCW. They're just like, what do we call these guys? They got a great look. Okay, well, like High Voltage, like electricity and stuff. But then like their names are gonna have nothing to do with electricity.
Nothing.
All right. So by the way, we're gonna keep this short because we've got two power plant guys taking on a guy who is fresh out of the power plant. So we're just gonna keep it nice and short.
Not Dr. Tom Pritchard here. This is
Goldberg is going to spear Robbie Rage into Kenny Chaos, knocking Chaos out of the ring and enabling Bill to hoist Rage up for a jackhammer and the pinfall. I want the announcers here to really put over Bill as a monster and start to plug his catchphrase, "Who's next?" which he's using on camera a lot. Yeah. I'm like, I love what WCW did with Bill Goldberg. It was basically flawless. I'm just trying to like speed it up a little bit where I'm just like, okay, let's start to get the merchandising.
Is there a reason? Okay, that's your reasoning to get the merch.
It's merchandising. And also it's just like, I'm excited for the midpoint of this year because like, that's when Bill Goldberg was really at his peak. Yeah. And so I'm just trying to get there a little sooner because it's fun.
Yeah.
We head backstage where Booker T and Lex Luger are in a locker room going over their match tonight. They're discussing how the flock is likely to be at ringside and they both need to be on high alert. Luger has pulled on his boots and is going into his duffel bag. When he opens the bag, flames poof out at him as the bag seems to spontaneously combust. Booker grabs a fire extinguisher and puts the fire out. The two look at each other with combined anger and shock as we head to a commercial.
Wow, at least it was flames and not something else.
Yeah, could always be worse. Guys were doing some hideous things to each other's bags backstage during this era.
Yep. Flames.
We're talking.
Seems low dosage at this point.
We're talking about poop. When we return, beauties. When we return, Mean Gene is in the ring. With Gene is Rick Steiner, who looks pissed off and uncomfortable. At this time, I'm joined by the dog-faced gremlin, Rick Steiner, and shortly, his brother Scott Steiner will be coming to the ring. Before he does, Rick, I want to ask you, what has been going on between you two? For weeks now, you've been out of sync or at odds. As our WCW Tag Team Champions, our loyal fans, frankly, expect more from the two of you. Gene, I'm still the same guy I've always been. I still have the same hunger to win and to win for myself and my brother. I'm sorry. All right, let me restart.
Restart, dog face.
Let's do it again. We're live, pal.
Hey, we're live.
I still have the same hunger to win and for myself and my brother to prove that we are the best tag team on the face of the planet. Scott has seemed like he doesn't share that vision with me anymore. I'm glad we're doing this tonight because I think it's about time that we clear the air and get back to dominating the world of wrestling. Well, with that, I want to ask Scott Steiner to come down to the ring, and let's see if we can repair this damaged relationship. Steiner eyes plays, and Scott comes out looking glum and humble. He gets in the ring, and Gene starts in. Scott, your behavior has been very erratic these past few weeks. I think you owe your brother, and maybe more importantly, these fans an explanation. First things first, Rick, Scott says, there's something I've been needing to say now for quite a while, and I can't think of a better time than right now. What I want to say is this. I'm sorry. I haven't been a good tag team partner or a good brother to you, and you deserve better. I've been too swept up in myself and my stardom to see what's really important, my family. I promise, Rick, that I will change my behavior and we can go back to being the most athletic and talented tag team in wrestling history. Will you accept my apology, brother?
Marcus, I accept your apology.
That's ridiculous.
Oh, you're talking about the oh, okay. Yeah.
And you should issue one of those apologies to me, Dom.
Wow. No, I was just waiting one for years, so I thought that you were finally doing it.
You thought that was it.
Yeah, I thought that was it. Wow. Okay.
Gene holds the mic out for. Shut the fuck up. Gene holds the mic out for Rick, who looks at Scott blankly for a few seconds. Finally, Rick simply pushes past Gene and gives his brother a big hug. As the two embrace, Gene and the announcers in the crowd all react pretty huge. There's your answer, folks, Gene says. These brothers have seemingly buried the hatchet, and their timing couldn't be better. Next week on Nitro, they will be defending their tag team titles against the team of Conan and Kurt Hennig.
Call the hotline.
Tony says it's time to send 1-900-909-9900 with parents' permission. Tony says it's great to see the Steiners back on track, and Tanay and Zbyszko agree. Tony mentions again that Super Bowl is just around the corner, and he throws to a quick 90s-centric commercial for the event. When we return, Ultimo Dragon is on the top rope in the ring while his music plays. He blows the red mist into the air and gets a nice reaction. Ultimo is unbelievably cool in this area, was he not?
Yes. Ultimo was always cool, I thought.
I loved Ultimo Dragon. Like, he'd come into the ring with like Sonny Ono even, and Sonny would be like carrying all of his belts, and like he just had cool gear. He didn't have to know English to get over. He was just so cool looking and so talented. He was just over. And like his gimmick in part, I don't know if you remember this, Dom, but they said that he named himself Ultimo Dragon because he was the final. It stands for Final Dragon, or translates to Final Dragon, because he was saying that he was the last student of Bruce Lee.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Isn't that sweet?
I think I heard that before, but I forgot. Were you frustrated by Ultimo not having the right body type in WCW NWO Revenge?
Yeah, why was he so fat?
Rotund. He was rotund in that game.
He was very heavy, and like you could have just given him like Rey Mysterio's build, and it would have been perfect. Like a very slender, slim, or like Dean Malenko's build in the game. Like one of those would be fine, but they gave him like Scott or Rick Steiner's build for some reason.
Like Fit Finley.
Yeah, like Fit Finley, like barrel chested. It was weird, dude.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up, Dominic. That's always bothered me.
It bothered me. I know, for years. It still does.
To this day. Hoovy is out next, and the pop for him is large, as I've been trying to push him quite a lot. He gets in the ring and celebrates with the crowd. Just then, the camera finds Chris Jericho sitting at ringside in a terrible disguise. He's just wearing a hoodie, and he's slouching way down in his chair. The announcers say that is clearly Chris Jericho, and it's obvious that he's here to exact revenge on Ultimo Dragon after last week, but his disguise is awful. I can imagine Jericho absolutely nailing this bit of comedy, right? Like, can't you just picture him doing that, like with like the pull strings pulled, and he's like slouching way down. He's like waiting for his chance to get his revenge on Ultimo Dragon.
Try to jump him,
right? After like what happened. So last week, for those of you who aren't listening, Dragon was hidden in the crowd, and he sprayed red mist into Jericho's face, thereby making Jericho lose his match against Hoovy. So now it's like Jericho's like, okay, I'm gonna do it too, except his disguise sucks. All right, this match gets over 20 minutes and runs through a commercial break. I can't think of a better way to close the first hour. I mean, these two were awesome. For the finish, Ultimo finds himself on the outside of the ring, dazed, and Jericho sees his chance. So when Dragon gets close, he stands up, but Dragon immediately sprays him in the face with red mist. Jericho, of course, sells it huge, and Dragon rolls back into the ring. But when he does, Hoovy catches him with a gut shot and a Hoovy driver for the win. So Jericho kind of got what he was looking for, but he not quite in the way that
way he wanted.
Can't you just picture Jericho being like, okay, and he like stands up and he just gets sprayed immediately?
That's quality stuff right there.
Thank you. All right. So we come back to Shivani and crew, and Tony tells us that we'll have a quick commercial break before heading to hour 2. Larry stands up and tells Tony and Mike to enjoy the rest of the show, when suddenly Scott Hall jumps Larry from behind and starts beating on him as Tanay and Shivani jump up and back away. Hall has a chair and he's teeing off on Zbyszko. Dusty and Flair come to his aid, but Scott powders. The damage is done, and we go to commercial with the two men checking on the down Larry Zbyszko. I'm not done with this yet. I feel like Scott and Larry, like they had that history in AWA, and it's like let's do this a little bit more. It's been fun.
With this a little bit here, yeah.
Yes,
A little bit of Larry Legend is always good.
You can't go wrong with Larry. When we return, Buff Bagwell is in a locker room with Randy Savage. Savage is handing him a baseball bat. So this is the beginning of hour 2, by the way.
Okay.
I'm not going to do a Randy Savage impersonation. I will not do it justice. Buff.
Yeah. Bro.
Randy is saying, Sting has been roaming the rafters for long enough. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. He interrupts NWO business time and time again, and we have never gone up there to cut him off. Well, tonight, brother, that changes. Tonight, I want you to go up there and give him a taste of his own medicine. You understand me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Dig it. Buff is nervous, but he shakes his head yes as he takes the bet. That's what I wanted to hear. You're going places, kid. Macho walks away and the camera focuses on nervous Buff Bagwell as we head to the announce crew. Shivani apologizes for the abrupt end of hour 1. He, Tanay, and Heenan all look somber as Tony tells us that Zbyszko required medical attention. You can bet that when he returns, there will be a reckoning for Scott Hall, says Shivani. Speaking of reckonings, DDP's music plays and the crowd goes wild. Page is in his cutoff shirt and jeans, and he looks furious as he comes to the ring. Already in the ring waiting for him is none other, Dom, than Jerry Flynn.
Not Jerry Flynn, friend of the show.
Friend of the show, avid listener, Jerry Flynn. Page is going to make very short work of Flynn here before nailing the diamond cutter. Page is going to be dominant throughout the match, and he's like really proving a point here. When he's done, he gets on the mic. Hulk Hogan, I want you to go back and watch what I just did in this match. That's the kind of skill and toughness you get through hard work. You might have been running wild a decade ago, but now you're nothing but a coward hiding behind young, impressionable guys like Brian Clark. Brian, you can bet that DDP is going to deal with you at a later date. But first, I want to cut off the head of the snake. Hogan, if you have the guts, I want you at Super Brawl. And this time, there won't be any excuse. This time, you'll feel the bang.
Bang!
Page drops the mic and we go to a commercial. When we return, Bret Hart's theme is playing. What was that theme called again, Dom?
Oh man.
Something switch or
no
something?
cap. Something like no cap, right? It's something. It's a good tune. It's by Tragically Hip. I've actually been listening to them, so because of that.
50 Mission Cap.
Yes, that's it.
Yes. So yeah, it's a perfect like WCW theme. But anyways, Bret Hart's theme is playing and Jim Neidhart comes through the curtain. Bret and Bulldog are with him, but after the three have a quick talk, Bret and Bulldog pat Jim on the back before heading back through the curtain. Tony tells us that Jim has said he wants to do this alone.
Ooh.
Eddie is out next, and he has Psychosis, La Parca, and Hector Garza with him. The four similarly have a quick discussion, but then Eddie turns around smirking, and all four men continue to the ring. The announcers call Guerrero a coward and tell us that the odds are stacked against Neidhart. I'm not going to have this match go any longer than 10 minutes. Guerrero is really good. I think Neidhart was certainly past his prime here. He's really more of like he's almost like window dressing at this point, right? He's just goes well with Bret Hart and Bulldog.
Yeah. I mean, just you kind of look. He was tagging with Owen and stuff. And
yeah,
that kind
certainly still value in Jim Neidhart, but he just wasn't the worker that he once was. Lots of attempts at interference, but Jim is going to get the better of the interferer every time they try. Finally, Jim is going to knock La Parca off the apron and into the arms of both Psychosis and Garza. And he turns around and gets small packaged by Guerrero for the pin. Eddie quickly slides out of the ring and is grinning from ear to ear. Neidhart is furious, and we go to a break. Mm-hmm. So Neidhart's first match in WCW is an L at the hands of Eddie Guerrero. Damn. And a clean L. Technically, I mean, there was like distraction, but technically a clean win by Guerrero. All right, when we return, we are back in action as Booker T and Lex Luger are making their way to the ring amid lots of pyro and Lex's music and baby oil and flexing. This is Sick Boy and Saturn are already in the ring waiting for them, and Raven, Kanyon, and Kidman are on the outside of the guardrail. looking very emo.
They were really good. Well, Raven was.
They were.
And Kidman
that like
looked ragged.
Brooding look. Kidman's out there scratching himself.
Yep.
Booker and Lex are going to win convincingly here, but Saturn is going to look strong throughout the match. He was so talented, dude. Do yourselves a favor and go back and watch Perry Saturn when he first came to WCW. He just like leaps off the screen. Like there's nothing that special about him. He's got a pretty good build. He's very tan, but he's not like this super good looking dude. He's not wearing like cool gear or anything. But like when you watch him, you're just like, that guy, there's something about that guy. He's awesome.
Geez, look at him in the ECW as the one of the half the Eliminators too. Holy shit, what a tag team! Yeah,
unbelievable talent.
Yeah. Mark, your mic's acting weird. So
I'm sorry. It might be. Honestly, it might be my phone interfering with it.
I don't know. I wonder if. Are you sure your mic is actually hooked up, or you?
Oh my god, it's not.
That's what I was thinking because you keep fading in and out like you used to.
How is that, Dom?
That's a lot clearer.
All right. Sorry about that, gang.
Wow.
Yeah. Hey, I've been talking into a non-live mic this whole time. All right, now I lost my place. Oh boy, you can tell we took a week off, Dom. Rusty.
Well, hey, they can follow you guys, us on Twitter at WCW Rewritten. Get some interaction going. We'll be putting more videos and content up there, and keeping it all fresh there for you.
All right, I'm back though. So near the match's conclusion, Raven and Kanyon will, of course, attempt to get involved, but Lex is going to nail them with a double clothesline outside the ring the minute that they come over the barricade. Saturn will charge Lex right after, but Lex will hit him with the back body drop and then pick up the charging Billy Kidman in a torture rack on the outside. In the meantime, Booker has hit the axe kick on Sick Boy for the clean victory. Lex and Booker quickly head for the exit, and we see Raven seething as we go to a break. So things are not going according to plan for the Flock. This whole stopping all the good-looking, ripped, athletic jocks. There may be a comeuppance, Dom. We return and Chavo is headed to the ring. He comes out alone, and the announcers tell us that Uncle Eddie must be seeing what he has. Bret is out next to a deafening pop, and we're rolling on the semi-main event. Just imagine the match that these two would have. Bret was obviously one of the greatest technical wrestlers in the history of the business, and Chavo was just he was really on the upswing.
Yeah.
Underrated. I think he got overshadowed a lot by his uber talented uncle, but Chavo was really good. So I can picture these two having a barn burner of a match.
I really did like him and Eddie together too, as the disenchanted nephew pairing up with his heelish uncle and stuff in the lie, cheat, and steal and all that.
It was pretty interesting. I don't know that I was crazy about the whole Chavo being insane thing.
Yeah, the whole Pepe thing kind of ran its course pretty quickly.
Yeah. So Bret is of course going to win, but not how you think, Dominic.
Okay.
He will have Chavo locked in the sharpshooter, but Eddie is going to hit the ring and drop kick. He's going to drop kick Hart in the face for the DQ. Eddie and Chavo are going to start putting the boots to Hart, but they're going to quickly powder through the crowd when Bulldog and Neidhart come in to make the save.
Yeah.
All right, so next we're treated to a quick vignette with Runway Royalty. This time they're poolside surrounded by beautiful women. Martel says, Alex, what do you say we treat all the ugly heathens at WCW next week by showing up? And Alex says, as long as we don't have to talk to any of those lesser mortals. Next week, let's take out the trash on Nitro. They laugh, and the girls start applying suntan lotion to their chests as the segment ends. I feel like this would get some legit heat back in 1998. There would be a lot of pissed off wrestling fans.
What the hell?
Yeah, them two foreign guys. Them two foreign guys out there drinking champagne. All right, where am I?
Why ain't they speaking American?
For the next segment, Macho Man will be in the ring with a mic in his hand. He has a folding chair with him, and he sits on it and looks up. Will Sting The Macho Man is here.
Yes, we do.
And as you can see, I'm perfectly relaxed. Yeah. I was getting sick and tired of your little repelling from the rafters routine, so I put the NWO's brightest young star on the hunt. I know he took care of you, Sting, and I'm thinking I won't have to worry about you. Thinking. I won't have to worry about you ever again. The crowd pops as a figure drops from the ceiling. Macho Man stands up and grabs a chair, ready for a fight. Soon, though, we realize that it's Buff Bagwell, suspended upside down and unconscious. The camera zooms in on a sign strapped to Buff. It reads, "See you at Super Brawl, Savage."
Oh, my.
The announcers go wild as this major championship match has been set. Sting will take on Randy Savage at Super Brawl 8. We go to a final commercial. I'm shocked that they never did that in WCW. Like, send like somebody that Sting beat up down from the rafters. Like, Sting is in charge of it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Buff Daddy, feeling the wrath.
Yeah, Buff has been getting jobbed out a lot so far in my version of WCW, but you know, he's a lesser mortal compared to the other NWO members right now. When we return, Ready or Not is already playing. Kevin Nash comes out alone, but then he does the double point to the curtain and Scott Hall emerges. The announcers react with disgust regarding Hall's behavior earlier in the night and mention that we should expect some cheating here. Ric Flair comes out to his usual massive pop. He turns back toward the curtain similarly to Nash, but then quickly turns around grinning and says, "I'll handle this myself."
He says that to himself like that.
Well, you know how they would have the camera facing you as you come down the ramp.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, I'm gonna do this myself. They would do like giant gestures, like, I don't need them. I'm on my own. So Nash and Flair always, to me, they always had really interesting encounters during this era, because like both are kind of like looked at as like these like one trick ponies. Like, oh, they always have the same match. Nash has like the 6 moves of doom. You know, Ric Flair always does this stupid turnbuckle spot. Like everybody always says, like these guys always do the same thing. But Nash made a good point. So Jim Cornette had criticized Nash. He said like when he was teaching Glenn Jacobs to be the fake Diesel character, he had him sit down and watch all these Kevin Nash matches, and he was like, Kevin Nash does like 6 things, and that includes his hair flip. He was like, he does all the same stuff in every match, so it was pretty easy to teach Glenn. And Kevin Nash's response was, let me tell you about this guy Nolan Ryan and his fastball. That piece of shit used the fastball all the time. So I thought it was kind of like the perfect response. And Ric Flair, when he gets criticized for it, he always would say that basically he, in every town that he went to, he wanted people to see, like people were expecting to see Ric Flair do Ric Flair things.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'm just trying to give the people what they want. It's the same thing with Kevin Nash. And go back and watch everybody's matches. Everybody does the same thing to a degree.
You got to get your shit in, man. And
how often does Bret Hart do the old, turnbuckle figure 4?
Yeah, and that too. Yeah.
So it's just something to think about.
They got their spots, and there's nothing wrong with that. You want to recognize wrestlers by those spots, because look, when it gets done nowadays, who do you think of? You don't think of like the current day wrestler doing it. You think of A, a Bret Hart, or B, a Scott Hall, or whoever it may be.
And like Kevin Nash, he would always like famously shoot people into the corner and give them the back elbows, he'd choke them with his foot, all that stuff. And it's like, when's the last time you saw wrestlers doing that? Yeah. Like take their time and back elbow people in the corner, get them with the snake eyes. I haven't seen that shit in a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Anyways,
and those are some of the best moves to do on Revenge, where the corner
everything always comes back to Revenge with this podcast, and I love it.
Yeah.
Nash is going to have the advantage through most of the match, of course. He'll be using his size to dominate Flair. When Rick suddenly comes back to life near the end of the match, though, Hall is going to grab his leg to trip him up so Nash can get back in the driver's seat. But the crowd goes nuts as Larry Zbyszko makes his way to the ring with his head bandaged. He comes after Hall, and the two brawl up the ramp and eventually through the curtain. In the meantime, Rick has regained the advantage and is setting Nash up with the figure 4. When Rick does that part where he like twists the leg and then he starts to turn around, though, Nash puts his foot on Rick's ass and he pushes him outside the ring. Nash goes after him and he pulls a table out from under the ring. The ref is yelling at Big Sexy to stop, but Nash clocks the ref, thereby becoming disqualified. He sets the table up and is setting Rick up for the powerbomb when none other Dominic than Steven Regal comes from behind and drills Nash with a chair.
Whoa.
Rick gets away and Nash goes down to a knee. Regal and Flair together hoist Nash up and powerbomb him through the table. Regal and Flair look at each other smiling and they shake hands as we go off the air.
Wow.
You know, I can't think of anybody better to join this group of like old school, like, hey, I love wrestling the way it used to be. Like, I can't think of anybody better to join that group than Steven Regal. He was that guy. All those guys loved him because he was such a great worker, such like a technician, old fashioned. And I'm just like, that's a layup. He should be with this group.
Yeah. Wow. That's an interesting one. I mentioned him on the original card there, but like, I didn't think he would be a factor at all.
Yeah, well, you know, undeniably talented. He did have substance abuse issues in this era, but as I said on the first episode, we are not regarding substance abuse on this at all. No substance abuse, no injuries, no creative control, et cetera, et cetera. So, like, this is a perfect world then, and in a perfect world, Steven Regal is a big contributor in WCW.
There you go.
And by the way, how about starting a feud with Nash? Who better to get the best out of Kevin Nash than somebody like Steven Regal?
Yeah, he would know how to work somebody like that.
No question about it. So now we kind of see the direction we're headed in, and that's the end of this episode of WCW Rewritten.
Wow, well, it's a rock solid show. Lots of storyline developments going on. I like it. So
thanks, man. Yeah, a lot to keep track of. We've got some interesting stuff going on next week. We've got something that I know definitively, Dominic, that you are going to like. That's going to be happening at Super Brawl. So we've got that. We've got next week. Here's a little heads up. We've got a new debut coming. Well, the Runway Royalty is going to be there, but who knows who else might show up?
Who knows? This is Nitro. This is the Monday Night Wars.
This is it. Eric Bischoff once a week was like, let's roll out somebody who was a star in the 80s. Let's make a little money off him.
Little cash monies.
Yeah, dude.
Marcus, how did you make some cash monies up on the Twitter?
I've made zero monies from the Twitter so far, but if you want to help me make the monies, you can follow me at Marcus P. D'Angelo on Twitter. You can follow this podcast, WCW Rewritten, at WCW Rewritten on Twitter.
Yes. And yes, be on the lookout for that poll. Do you want the Hart Stampede or do you want the Hart Dungeon as the new name for Bret Hart's faction?
Should we add the Hart Dynasty, Dom, just for shits and gigs?
Nah, I'm going to pass on that one. Fine,
right, well,
makes sense, but let's just leave it at those two. What do you think?
All right. Well, this gentleman who has been writing us with his fan account, which, by the way, we truly appreciate. Thank you guys for listening.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome to have a fan account. We'll try to always be on time with our podcast. Cannot guarantee it. We'll do our best. But yeah, we both work full-time jobs, and I just became a dad. It's a rough scene over here as far as finding free time, but we'll do our best. But in any case, yeah, we truly appreciate it. Truly appreciate the input from people. And by the way, if you want to input me, this fan account, he DM'd me. Everybody else is welcome to DM me too. The DMs are open. Let's just keep it PG and approps.
Slide on in there. Don't send them any junk mail, okay?
Yeah. I don't need any weird pictures or weird statements. Let's just keep it professional, dog.
We don't want to have Jerry Flynn's wiener or any individuals from that era's wiener.
If you have a picture of Jerry Flynn's wiener, you might as well go ahead and send that over.
All right, you know what? We'll make an exception.
I swear to God, though, if somebody sends me a picture of Brian Knobb's butthole that's been floating around, that's not going to go over well. You will be blocked, sir.
That's a thing.
Yeah, you haven't seen or heard about this?
Well, no, of course I haven't seen. Of course, no, I haven't seen.
It's. I think there's a picture of it in your wallet, Dom.
Here's me at prom.
It's Brian Knobb's butthole. This is disgusting. So we should, Dominic, how do they follow you on the Twitter?
Yeah, follow me on the Twitter at Dominic D'Angelo. You can follow the WrestleZone on the Twitter at WrestleZone.com. And then, yes, go to WrestleZone.com for all your wrestling news needs. And Marcus, I hate to break it to you, but we're out of time.
The tape machines are rolling. We'll see you guys next week here on WCW Rewritten.